Hello, my name is Gianna, and I'm 28 years old. I run my own online business from home, focusing on app development. It's been tough, but I've worked hard to become financially independent. Unfortunately, my parents don't really understand what I do. My mom and dad have always been more interested in my older sister, Grace. They've always supported her, and I've felt left out for as long as I can remember. 3 years ago, my grandfather passed away. He was a big part of my life, and I was the one he trusted with the family house. Before he died, he made sure that the house was transferred into my name. I had no idea at the time, but it was a huge responsibility. Sadly, my parents never told me about it. They never mentioned that my grandfather wanted me to be the one to take care of the house. Instead, they decided to give everything to my stepsiblings, who I barely knew. I didn't mind that they got the inheritance, but it hurt that my parents didn't think I deserved anything. They expected me to keep working harder, but they never acknowledged all the things I had already done on my own. Every day, my parents kept pushing me to do more, telling me that I needed to work harder to be successful. Meanwhile, Grace and my stepsiblings were getting everything handed to them. They didn't have to work as hard as I did, but they were always treated like the golden children. It wasn't fair, and I was tired of it. But what they didn't know was that I had a secret that would change everything. The moment I said it, everything in the room went silent. My parents and Grace looked at me like they didn't understand. The shock was written all over their faces. I stood there, holding my breath, waiting for their reaction. "What do you mean the house is yours?" my dad asked, his voice low and confused. "My grandfather, he transferred the house to me before he passed away. It's been in my name for years, and you never told me." "You never even mentioned it," I explained, trying to keep my voice steady, even though my heart was pounding in my chest. For a moment, no one said anything. My parents exchanged glances, and Grace finally looked up from her phone, her expression turning serious. "This is a joke, right?" Grace asked, clearly skeptical. "Why would Grandpa leave the house to you?" "I don't know why he did it, but he did. I've kept it all this time, and I didn't tell anyone because I wasn't sure what to do. But now, I've had enough," I said, feeling the weight of the secret finally lifting off my shoulders. My parents' faces had turned pale, and they looked like they were about to say something, but no words came out. They were shocked, and I could see the realization dawning on them. They had always expected me to work harder to prove myself, but they never realized I was already holding the most important part of our family legacy. "You've been living in the house this whole time?" my mom finally whispered, as if the thought had never occurred to her. "Yes," I replied, my voice firm. "I've been taking care of it, paying the bills, and handling everything while you focused on Grace and the others. I've been doing it all alone." My dad looked away, clearly uncomfortable. He didn't know what to say. Grace, on the other hand, looked furious. She couldn't believe I had been keeping this from the family, but the truth was undeniable. "I can't believe this," Grace muttered, standing up from the table. "You've been holding out on us, Gianna, all this time." "No, Grace," I said, my tone sharp. "I've been doing what I had to do to survive. I've been working hard for everything I have, and I don't owe anyone an explanation anymore." The room was thick with tension, and for the first time, I felt like I finally had control of the situation. My parents were stunned, and Grace was angry, but it didn't matter. I had revealed the truth, and it was too late for them to ignore it now. "I'm done trying to meet your expectations," I continued, my voice steady but full of resolve. "I've built my life on my own terms, and from now on, I'm going to live for me." The silence that followed felt like it lasted forever. My parents sat there frozen in shock, struggling to comprehend what I had just revealed. Grace was pacing around the room, clearly upset, and I could feel her anger filling the air. But despite the tension, I didn't back down. For the first time, I felt a sense of empowerment I had never known before. "What does this mean for us?" my dad asked, finally breaking the silence. His voice sounded defeated, almost as if he were trying to figure out how to deal with the situation. "What do you expect us to do now, Gianna?" "I don't expect anything from you," I replied, my voice steady and calm. "I'm not here to ask for approval. I've been taking care of myself for a long time, and that's how I intend to keep it. The house is mine, and I've worked hard for everything I've achieved. I don't need to prove myself to anyone anymore." My parents exchanged a look, and I could see the regret on their faces. They had never seen me as capable or worthy of the inheritance, and the truth stung. They had taken everything for granted, assuming that Grace and my stepsiblings were the rightful heirs to the family legacy. But now, they had no choice but to confront reality. Grace and my stepsiblings had always been seen as the rightful heirs to the family legacy, but now they had no choice but to confront reality. Grace finally stopped pacing and turned to face me, her expression a mix of frustration and disbelief. "You've been hiding this from us all this time. All the while, I was out here working hard, and you were just sitting on the house. I can't believe this." I felt a surge of anger but kept my composure. "I wasn't just sitting on the house, Grace. I was taking care of it while you and everyone else ignored me. I did what needed to be done, even when no one noticed." Grace opened her mouth to argue, but my dad cut her off. "Enough, Grace," he said quietly. "We've clearly underestimated Gianna. This is her choice now, and we can't change it." A heavy silence followed, broken only when my mom finally spoke, her voice trembling with emotion. I never thought you'd be the one to take control of everything. I always assumed you'd just follow along, like you always have." "I've stopped following," I said firmly. "I'm done being the invisible one. I've worked hard, and I'm proud of what I've built. It's my time now, and I'm not going to keep proving myself to you, or anyone else." For the first time, my parents were silent, truly reflecting on my words. They had always expected me to follow the family's traditional path, always viewed Grace as the one to inherit everything. But now, they had to accept the reality that I was the one in control. "I'm leaving," I said as I stood up. "I'm going to live my life the way I want to, and I'm not coming back to the old patterns." Grace crossed her arms, still clearly upset, but I didn't care anymore. I wasn't going to stay in a place where I wasn't respected or valued. My future was in my hands, and I was finally ready to take control. As I left the room, a weight lifted off my shoulders. For the first time in years, I felt free to pursue my dreams without anyone holding me back. The road ahead was mine to shape, and I was determined to live life on my own terms.